Your soulmate feels afraid after noticing this change and you don't scroll. Listen to this. This message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, because the very fact that you stopped here is not coincidence, it's alignment. It's the universe gently tapping you on the shoulder and whispering, "Pay attention, something powerful has shifted," and listen closely. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to change, it happened slowly, quietly, through moments of reflection, through emotional exhaustion that turned into strength, through lessons that carved wisdom into your spirit, and now that shift is radiating outward, and your soulmate feels it even if they don't understand it yet. And don't scroll, because this part matters. Your energy is no longer chasing, no longer begging for clarity, no longer shrinking itself to fit into uncertainty, and your heart needs this right now because this change is sacred. It's the awakening phase of your soul, the moment when self-worth rises and attachment loosens its grip. And listen to this, when you started choosing peace over chaos, silence over drama, self-respect over emotional hunger, something inside the connection shifted, and that shift didn't go unnoticed. Your soulmate felt it like a sudden quiet where noise used to live, like a distance where comfort once existed. And don't scroll, because their fear isn't about losing control. It's about realizing they can't access you the same way anymore, and your heart needs this right now because you are stepping into emotional sovereignty, the ability to love without losing yourself, and that energy is powerful, it's magnetic, it's rare, and it changes the dynamic completely. And listen closely, the reason you've been seeing angel numbers lately, like 1111 during moments of reflection, 333 when you feel emotionally strong, 555 when you think about moving forward, is because your awakening is active, your vibration is rising, and the universe is confirming that this transformation is aligned with your higher purpose. And don't scroll, because this is where the story gets deep. Your soulmate isn't just afraid because you're changing, they're afraid because your growth is holding up a mirror to their stagnation, forcing them to confront what they avoided, what they delayed, what they assumed would always stay available. And your heart needs this right now because you were never meant to stay small to keep someone comfortable. You were meant to expand, to rise, to become emotionally free. And listen to this, when you stopped reacting to breadcrumbs, when you stopped waiting for half effort, when you stopped overthinking their silence, the energetic chord shifted, and now they feel uncertainty instead of control, curiosity instead of certainty, tension instead of comfort. And don't scroll, because this tension is not destruction, it's awakening. And your heart needs this right now because awakening doesn't always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like pressure, emotional heat, internal conflict, and that's exactly what they're experiencing, the realization that the version of you they took for granted is gone, replaced by someone stronger, calmer, more self-aware. And listen closely, you didn't become colder, you became clearer. You didn't become distant, you became grounded, and that grounding is shaking the emotional foundation of the connection. And don't scroll, because this part is important. Your change is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the universe positioning you for healthier love, deeper connection, and mutual respect. Whether that arrives through this soulmate finally stepping into emotional maturity or through someone new who meets you at your level. And your heart needs this right now because destiny is not tied to one person's readiness, it's tied to your evolution. And listen to this, the reason you felt calmer lately, less reactive, more focused on yourself, more protective of your peace, is because your soul is outgrowing emotional patterns that once kept you stuck, and that growth is uncomfortable for people who benefited from your emotional availability without offering stability in return. And don't scroll, because this awareness is your power. And your heart needs this right now because you're learning that love is not supposed to feel like emotional labor. It's supposed to feel like partnership, presence, and consistency. And listen closely, your soulmate's fear is not random, it's the response to realizing that you are no longer emotionally dependent, that you no longer orbit their mood, attention, or availability. And that independence is intimidating to someone who assumed your energy would always be accessible. And don't scroll, because this is the turning point, the moment where the universe tests alignment, where growth forces choices, and where emotional truth begins surfacing. And your heart needs this right now because what happens next will depend on whether they rise to meet your evolution or remain stuck in old patterns. And listen to this, if they choose growth, the connection transforms into something deeper, healthier, more honest. And if they choose comfort over change, the universe redirects you towards something better aligned with your frequency. And either outcome serves your destiny. And don't scroll, because destiny is active right now, and your heart needs this right now because you didn't go through emotional pain, confusion, and healing just to return to the same cycle. You went through it to awaken, to elevate, to step into a higher version of yourself. And listen closely, this change in you is not accidental, it's divine timing, it's preparation for the next chapter. And part 1 ends here because this is the awakening stage, the moment your growth begins creating ripples in the soulmate connection. And what comes next will reveal how their fear turns into action, realization, or transformation, and why the universe allowed this shift to happen exactly when it did. Stay with this energy, because now the second layer of this message begins unfolding, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because what your soulmate is feeling goes deeper than surface-level fear. It's an internal shaking, a moment where comfort dissolves and awareness begins pressing against their emotional walls. And listen closely, when you stopped over-explaining yourself, when you started choosing solitude over emotional chaos, when your presence became calm instead of reactive, something inside them shifted, and they couldn't ignore it anymore, because your stillness became louder than your past effort. And don't scroll, because this part is powerful. They are beginning to realize that the emotional access they once had is no longer automatic, that your energy is no longer freely available without mutual effort. And this realization creates insecurity, not because you did something wrong, but because you stopped over-giving. And your heart needs this right now because this is what healthy detachment looks like, not coldness, not distance, but self-respect, forming boundaries around your emotional space. And listen to this, the universe often triggers fear in others when you rise into alignment, because your growth exposes areas where they avoided responsibility, emotional honesty, or maturity. And now they are being forced to confront questions they once ignored, like what they truly feel, what they truly want, and whether they are capable of meeting you where you stand emotionally. And don't scroll, because this internal confrontation is intense. It feels like pressure in the chest, restlessness at night, overthinking moments, sudden nostalgia, and waves of regret. And your heart needs this right now because while you were healing quietly, they were staying comfortable, and now the balance has shifted. And listen closely, the reason you may feel sudden emotional pullbacks from them, subtle distance, strange energy shifts, or unexpected silence is because they are processing this change internally, unsure how to approach you now that the dynamic no longer favors emotional convenience. And don't scroll, because this processing stage is crucial. It determines whether they rise into growth or retreat into avoidance. And your heart needs this right now because you are no longer meant to chase clarity. Clarity is coming to you through their actions, not words. And listen to this, when someone feels fear after Noticing your growth, it's often because they realize they might lose access to someone who once felt guaranteed, and that awareness creates urgency, reflection, and emotional discomfort. And don't scroll, because discomfort is not negative, it's the birthplace of transformation, and your heart needs this right now because transformation is happening on both sides of the connection, not just yours. And listen closely. Your soulmate is beginning to sense that you are no longer emotionally anchored to the past version of this connection, that your energy has shifted forward, toward self-love, toward independence, toward emotional stability, and that forward movement is intimidating to someone who stayed still. And don't scroll, because this is where the universe tests authenticity. It tests whether feelings are real or based on emotional convenience. And your heart needs this right now because you deserve love that chooses you intentionally, not love that reacts only when it feels threatened. And listen to this. The next signs you may notice include sudden curiosity from them, subtle attempts to reconnect, emotional vulnerability surfacing unexpectedly, or silence followed by sudden messages. And these patterns are not random. They reflect inner conflict, the struggle between comfort and growth, attachment and evolution. And don't scroll, because how you respond now matters. Your calm presence, your grounded communication, your refusal to fall back into old emotional patterns will set the tone for what happens next. And your heart needs this right now because you are being asked to hold your power gently, not aggressively, not defensively, but with quiet confidence. And listen closely. Quiet confidence is what unsettles people who relied on your emotional availability, because it removes control, it removes predictability, it forces authenticity. And don't scroll, because authenticity is the only foundation that can support a real soulmate. Because your role is not to save them, fix them, or wait for them. Your role is to continue honoring your growth, your peace, your emotional boundaries. And listen closely. When you choose yourself, the universe rearranges your path to match that choice, bringing experiences, people, and opportunities that reflect your self-respect. And don't scroll, because this is the beginning of a new energetic chapter. And your heart needs this right now because the version of you that once accepted uncertainty is gone, replaced by someone who values clarity, stability, and emotional reciprocity. And listen to this. Your soulmate's fear is not your responsibility, it's their wake-up call. And your awakening is the catalyst, not the cause. And don't scroll, because the next phase will reveal how this fear turns into action, whether through emotional honesty, distance, or transformation. And why the universe orchestrated this shift exactly when you were ready to step into a higher version of yourself. Because part 2 ends here at the point of emotional tension, the moment where growth meets reality. And what unfolds next will determine the direction of your soulmate story moving forward. Remain grounded, because now the third phase of this unfolding story begins shaping the external reality of this connection. And this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because what was once happening quietly behind emotional walls is starting to surface through behavior, timing, and circumstance. And listen closely. When someone becomes unsettled by your transformation, it often shows through unexpected actions, sudden curiosity, awkward attempts to reconnect, emotional vulnerability, or even avoidance. And these mixed signals are not random, they reflect internal conflict, the struggle between holding on to comfort and stepping into growth. And don't scroll, because this is the moment where patterns either break or repeat. And your heart needs this right now because how you respond during this stage will shape the direction of the connection, not through force, but through energy, through the way you hold yourself, speak, and protect your emotional space. And listen to this. you may notice that your soulmate begins watching you from a distance, checking your energy through social media, asking mutual friends about you, or suddenly showing interest in your life again, and this behavior comes from uncertainty, the realization that your attention is no longer guaranteed, that your presence is no longer automatic, and don't scroll, because this shift is powerful. It moves the dynamic from emotional convenience to emotional awareness, and your heart needs this right now because awareness is what creates real change, and listen closely, if communication resumes, it may feel different, more cautious, more thoughtful, less playful, because they are aware that you are no longer the same person, and this awareness creates nervous energy, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the hesitation to open up, the confusion about how to approach you now that your boundaries are stronger, and don't scroll, because this moment is a test of emotional maturity, and your heart needs this right now because you are being invited to respond with calm clarity instead of emotional reaction, with honesty instead of expectation, with grounded presence instead of old habits, and listen to this, grounded presence is powerful, it sets the tone for interaction without needing to control outcomes, and when you show up balanced, you create a safe space for truth to surface. And truth is what determines whether this connection evolves or dissolves, and don't scroll, because dissolving is not failure, it's alignment, and your heart needs this right now because not every soulmate connection is meant to last forever, some are meant to awaken you, elevate you, and prepare you for something healthier, and listen closely, you may feel moments of emotional déjà vu during this phase. Reminders of how things used to feel, the temptation to fall back into old patterns. But your intuition will guide you differently now, showing you the difference between nostalgia and alignment, and don't scroll, because recognizing that difference protects your growth, and your heart needs this right now because you worked too hard emotionally to return to cycles that once drained you, and listen to this. If they attempt to pull you back with charm, apologies, or emotional stories, pay attention to consistency, not intensity, because intensity can be temporary, while consistency reflects real change, and don't scroll, because this is where many people get confused, mistaking emotional moments for transformation, and your heart needs this right now because true growth shows up through sustained effort, accountability, and behavioral shifts, not just words, and listen closely, your calm response, your steady tone, your refusal to rush will reveal their intentions clearly, because pressure exposes truth, and don't scroll, because pressure is not about forcing, it's about allowing time to reveal reality, and your heart needs this right now. Because patience allows you to see patterns instead of reacting to single moments, and patterns tell the real story, and listen to this, during this phase, the universe may also introduce new people or opportunities into your life, not as distractions, but as reminders that your world is expanding, that your options are growing, that your future is not limited to one connection, and don't scroll, because this expansion is intentional, it prevents emotional tunnel vision, helping you remember your worth and your value beyond this soulmate dynamic, and your heart needs this right now because abundance mindset attracts abundance experiences, and scarcity mindset keeps you stuck, and listen closely, as you continue holding your growth, you may feel a quiet sense of empowerment rising, the realization that you no longer need to control outcomes, that you can trust yourself to handle whatever happens next. And this self-trust is magnetic, because it carries emotional stability, and emotional stability attracts healthier connections, and don't scroll, because this is the moment where destiny starts responding to your evolution, and your heart needs this right now because you are stepping into a new identity, one that values peace over drama, clarity over confusion, mutual effort over emotional labor, and listen to this. This identity shift will influence everything that comes next. Whether this soulmate rises to meet you or fades into the past, because your growth is non-negotiable now, and don't scroll, because the next phase will reveal the outcome of this tension, whether it leads to transformation, closure, or a new chapter entirely, and why the universe is positioning you to receive something greater than what you once settled for, because part 3 ends here at the point where inner growth meets external action, and what unfolds next will show you how powerful your transformation truly is. Stay steady, because now the 4th phase unfolds into the moment of emotional revelation, where hidden feelings, unspoken thoughts, and suppressed realizations begin surfacing in ways that cannot be ignored, and this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because what your soulmate has been holding inside is reaching a tipping point, and listen closely. When someone feels unsettled by your transformation, their inner world starts shifting rapidly, creating pressure that demands release, and that release often appears through unexpected honesty, sudden vulnerability, emotional outbursts, or awkward attempts to reconnect. And don't scroll, because this stage is delicate, powerful, and deeply meaningful, and your heart needs this right now because this is where truth begins stepping into the open, not through perfect words, but through raw energy, tone changes, body language, and subtle cues that reveal more than scripted conversations ever could. And listen to this, you may sense their hesitation when they speak, the pause before sending messages, the emotional weight behind simple phrases, and this hesitation comes from fear of losing access to you, fear of rejection, fear of facing their own emotional immaturity. And don't scroll, because this fear is not weakness, it is awakening in progress, and your heart needs this right now because awakening often arrives disguised as discomfort, restlessness, or emotional confusion. And listen closely, this phase is where the universe creates emotional crossroads, moments that force decisions instead of delay, clarity instead of avoidance, and you may notice opportunities for conversation appearing unexpectedly, situations that bring you face to face emotionally, or moments where silence becomes louder than words. And don't scroll, because silence at this stage carries meaning. It reflects inner processing, emotional tension, and unresolved feelings rising to the surface, and your heart needs this right now because this is where patience becomes your greatest strength, allowing space for truth to reveal itself without pressure. And listen to this, your calm presence during this phase is powerful, because it signals emotional maturity, stability, and self-respect. And that energy invites honesty rather than defensiveness, and honesty is what determines whether this connection evolves or dissolves. And don't scroll, because dissolving is not loss, it is redirection, and your heart needs this right now because sometimes the universe removes emotional illusions to make room for real connection. And listen closely, if they attempt to open up, you may hear vulnerability that feels unfamiliar, expressions of regret, confusion, or realization, and these words may not come perfectly, but their emotional tone will reveal authenticity. And don't scroll, because authenticity is what matters now, not charm, not emotional stories, not promises without action, and your heart needs this right now because you are no longer meant to accept surface-level affection, you are stepping into deeper emotional alignment. And listen to this, you may also feel moments of internal conflict during this phase, part of you wanting closure, part of you wanting clarity, part of you wanting to protect your peace, and this inner dialogue is natural, because growth requires balance between compassion and boundaries. And don't scroll, because this balance is what prevents you from repeating old patterns. And your heart needs this right now because you are learning to honor your emotions without letting them control your choices. And listen closely, the universe is watching how you handle this phase, not to judge you, but to guide the next chapter of your journey, and the energy you bring into this moment will shape what comes next, whether that means transformation within this connection or release that opens the door to something new. And don't scroll, because the door to your future is opening quietly right now, and your heart needs this right now because your destiny is not about staying attached to what feels familiar, it's about aligning with what feels true. And listen to this, if your soulmate chooses growth, you will notice effort, consistency, accountability, and emotional availability increasing gradually, not overnight, but through sustained change. And if they choose avoidance, you will notice distance, excuses, or emotional withdrawal, and both outcomes provide clarity, and clarity is a gift, because it removes confusion and allows you to move forward with confidence. And don't scroll, because confidence is becoming your natural state now, not arrogance, but grounded self-assurance, the knowing that you deserve mutual respect, emotional safety, and genuine effort. And listen closely, this phase is also about releasing the urge to control the outcome, trusting that the universe is orchestrating events in your favor, even when the path feels uncertain. And trust allows you to remain open instead of guarded, and openness attracts aligned experiences. And don't scroll, because alignment is active right now, and your heart needs this right now because you are stepping into a new energetic cycle, one that no longer tolerates emotional confusion, half-truths, or unbalanced effort. And listen to this, the more you remain centered, the clearer the situation becomes. Because truth responds to calm awareness, not emotional chaos, and calm awareness allows you to observe patterns, behaviors, and intentions without projection, and observation reveals reality, and reality guides decisions, and decisions shape destiny. And don't scroll, because destiny is shifting right now, not dramatically, but steadily, through small moments that carry big meaning. And your heart needs this right now because you are learning to trust the process, even when you don't have all the answers. And listen closely, the universe does not reveal everything at once. It unfolds truth in layers, preparing your heart to receive what is coming next without overwhelming you. And this phase is one of those layers, the emotional unveiling stage, where feelings rise, intentions become visible, and direction becomes clearer. And don't scroll, because what comes next will depend on how this revelation phase settles, whether it brings reconciliation with growth, peaceful closure, or redirection toward a new path. And your heart needs this right now because all three outcomes serve your highest good. And part 4 ends here because this is the emotional unveiling moment, the point where internal shifts meet external expression, and the next phase will reveal how this revelation transforms the soulmate connection and your personal journey forward. Stay anchored, because now the 5th phase enters the stage of decisive movement, where emotional realization begins transforming into action, choices, and visible direction. And this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because awareness without movement keeps energy trapped, while conscious steps release momentum into your life. And listen closely. This is the moment when the universe stops whispering and starts guiding through circumstances, timing, and opportunities that push both you and your soulmate toward clarity. And you may already feel this shift through increased inner determination, a stronger sense of self-direction, and a clearer understanding of what you will no longer tolerate. And this clarity is powerful, because it removes hesitation and replaces it with grounded resolve. And grounded resolve changes how you show up, how you communicate, how you protect your emotional space, and how you allow others to access your energy. and as this phase unfolds, you may notice that your soulmate is forced into decision-making energy, no longer able to linger in emotional limbo, because your growth has removed the comfort of uncertainty, and this pressure does not come from confrontation, it comes from your calm independence, the quiet strength that signals you are no longer waiting, no longer shrinking, no longer orbiting their emotional availability. And this shift is unsettling to someone who relied on familiarity, yet it is also an invitation to evolve, and evolution requires courage, accountability, and emotional honesty, and this stage reveals whether they are willing to rise into maturity or retreat into old habits. And listen to this, you may witness attempts to re-enter your emotional space through gestures, messages, or symbolic actions, and these attempts will test your boundaries, not to weaken you, but to show you how far you've come, because the version of you that once rushed toward attention is gone, replaced by someone who pauses, observes, and chooses intentionally, and this intentional response is powerful, because it prevents impulsive decisions and allows truth to surface naturally, and truth always reveals itself through consistency rather than intensity, through patterns rather than promises, and as this phase continues, you may feel an inner alignment strengthening. The sense that your choices are becoming more reflective of your values, your desires, and your emotional needs, and this alignment brings peace, because it eliminates inner conflict, allowing you to move forward without second-guessing yourself, and peace is magnetic, because it attracts relationships and experiences that respect your boundaries and honor your growth, and this stage is also about stepping into your personal authority, recognizing that you are the gatekeeper of your emotional world, deciding who enters, who stays, and who no longer belongs, and this authority is not harsh, it is gentle yet firm. Rooted in self-respect rather than fear, and self-respect changes how others treat you, because it sets the tone for interaction, and as you embody this authority, you may notice that your communication becomes clearer, your energy more stable, your reactions more measured, and this maturity signals readiness for deeper connection, whether with your soulmate or someone new who aligns with your frequency. And this stage is also encouraging you to focus on building a fulfilling life beyond romantic attachment, investing in goals, friendships, creative pursuits, and personal development, and this investment strengthens your identity, making you less likely to lose yourself in emotional dynamics and more likely to attract partners who value your independence, and independence is attractive, because it reflects confidence, direction, and purpose-driven energy attracts aligned experiences. And aligned experiences bring fulfillment, and fulfillment reduces emotional dependence, creating balanced relationships instead of codependent ones, and this stage is also about releasing emotional urgency, the need to know everything immediately, the desire to control outcomes, and replacing it with trust in divine timing, understanding that not everything unfolds instantly, that some outcomes require space to mature, and that patience allows alignment to occur naturally, and patience is powerful, because it keeps you grounded while the universe arranges circumstances behind the scenes, and this behind-the-scenes movement often appears subtle, but it is active, shaping future interactions, timing encounters, and creating opportunities that reflect your growth, and as this phase progresses, you may sense a shift in your emotional expectations, becoming more realistic, grounded, and aligned with what you truly want rather than what you once idealized, and this realism is healthy, because it protects you from fantasy-driven disappointment and guides you toward genuine connection, and genuine connection feels safe, consistent, and mutual, not chaotic, uncertain, or draining, and this stage is preparing you to recognize and receive that level of intimacy, and you may also experience moments of emotional courage during this phase, the willingness to speak truth calmly, to express needs without fear, to step away from misalignment without guilt. And this courage is a sign of emotional maturity, because it prioritizes well-being over comfort, and well-being is becoming your foundation now, guiding your choices and shaping your future. And as this decisive movement phase deepens, you may notice changes in how people respond to you, increased respect, curiosity, or even admiration, because growth is visible, not just felt, and visible growth attracts attention, but more importantly, it attracts alignment. And alignment brings experiences that resonate with your emotional state, and this resonance will guide the next chapter of your soulmate journey, whether it leads to transformation within the existing connection or opens the door to something entirely new. And as this phase approaches completion, you may feel a quiet readiness forming inside you, the sense that you are prepared to move forward regardless of the outcome, that you trust yourself to navigate change with grace and strength. And this readiness is your confirmation that you have stepped into emotional leadership of your own life, no longer waiting for others to define your worth or direction. And part 5 ends here because this is the decision energy stage, the moment when growth turns into action, when awareness becomes movement, and when your soulmate story begins shifting from emotional tension into clear direction shaped by your evolution and self-respect. Remain steady as the 6th phase unfolds into the realm of energetic alignment, where everything you've chosen begins syncing with outcomes that mirror your growth. And this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because alignment is the moment when inner decisions start shaping external reality in visible ways. And listen closely, you may feel a subtle shift in momentum, situations resolving faster, conversations becoming more honest, opportunities appearing with better timing. And this flow is not accidental. It's the universe responding to the standards you set and the boundaries you maintained. And don't scroll, because this is where many people doubt their progress, expecting dramatic signs instead of recognizing the quiet harmony that signals real change. And your heart needs this right now because harmony feels calm, steady, and natural, not chaotic or forced. And this calm is becoming part of your emotional baseline, influencing how you approach connection, how you handle uncertainty, and how you respond to attention. And listen to this, your soulmate is feeling this shift as well, sensing that the emotional atmosphere between you has changed, that the old dynamic no longer fits, and this awareness may create mixed reactions, curiosity, hesitation, reflection, or renewed interest. Yet none of these responses should pull you back into old patterns. Because alignment means staying rooted in your truth regardless of external reactions. And don't scroll. Because staying rooted is your power now, not chasing validation, not reacting impulsively, but standing firm in self-respect. And your heart needs this right now because rooted energy attracts respect, and respect attracts healthier interaction. And healthier interaction allows connection to evolve naturally instead of being driven by fear or insecurity. And listen closely, during this phase, the universe may present choices that test your alignment, small decisions that reveal whether you truly value your peace or still feel tempted to return to emotional familiarity. And these tests are not punishment, they are confirmation points, showing you how far you've come. And don't scroll, because passing these moments strengthens your emotional foundation, reinforcing self-trust and inner stability. And self-trust is essential, because it allows you to navigate relationships without losing yourself. And losing yourself once kept you stuck, while now you are learning to remain whole. Even when emotions rise, and this wholeness changes how you love, because you no longer attach your identity to one person's behavior, you remain grounded regardless of outcome, and that grounded presence is magnetic, because it radiates confidence without arrogance, and confidence attracts opportunities, connections, and experiences that align with your frequency. And this stage is also about refining your emotional radar. The ability to sense authenticity, notice inconsistency, and recognize genuine effort, and this sensitivity protects your heart without closing it, allowing you to remain open while maintaining boundaries, and openness combined with boundaries creates balance, and balance is what sustainable connection requires. And listen to this. You may begin attracting people who mirror your growth, emotionally available individuals, supportive friendships, or romantic prospects who communicate clearly and show consistency, and these experiences are reflections of your inner transformation, proof that alignment creates tangible results. And don't scroll, because this is the evidence stage, where growth becomes visible in everyday life, not just in thoughts or feelings, and your heart needs this right now because seeing progress reinforces faith in the process, reminding you that healing is not wasted effort, it produces real change. And listen closely, this phase is also about trusting divine timing, allowing things to unfold without forcing outcomes, understanding that alignment does not rush, it flows, and flow feels natural, supported, and effortless compared to the strain of emotional pushing, and this flow will guide you toward conversations, encounters, and opportunities that arrive at the right moment. And when timing aligns, things feel easier, clearer, and more stable, and this stability is becoming part of your experience now, replacing the emotional turbulence you once accepted as normal. And this replacement is powerful, because it resets your expectations, teaching you that love does not have to be complicated to be meaningful, and meaningful connection feels supportive, respectful, and emotionally safe. And this is what you are becoming ready to receive. And this stage is also encouraging you to honor your own growth by continuing to invest in yourself, through learning, creativity, physical well-being, and spiritual practices that keep you connected to your inner guidance. And this investment strengthens your alignment, making it easier to stay centered during emotional challenges, and centered energy attracts clarity, and clarity shapes decisions, and decisions determine direction, and direction shapes destiny. And listen to this, destiny is not something that happens to you, it responds to who you become, and you are becoming someone who values peace, chooses authenticity, and prioritizes emotional health. And that identity will attract experiences that reflect those values. And this phase is also about releasing lingering doubts, the quiet voice that questions whether change will last, whether alignment is real, whether growth is enough, and replacing that doubt with trust in your journey, acknowledging that progress is not linear, yet every step forward counts, and trust keeps you moving even when outcomes are not immediately visible, and movement creates momentum, and momentum brings opportunity, and opportunity opens doors. And these doors may lead to new chapters in your soulmate story, whether through transformation of the existing connection or the arrival of someone new who resonates with your evolved energy. And this stage is also reminding you that your worth is not dependent on someone else's reaction to your growth. Your worth is inherent, and this realization frees you from seeking approval, allowing you to choose what aligns with your values instead of what feels familiar. And choosing alignment may feel uncomfortable at first, because it challenges old habits, but discomfort is temporary, while growth is lasting, and lasting growth creates a foundation that supports healthy relationships, fulfilling experiences, and emotional stability. And as this phase approaches completion, you may feel a quiet sense of empowerment settling in, the knowing that you can trust your instincts, navigate change, and remain grounded regardless of external circumstances. And this empowerment is your confirmation that alignment is active, that your energy has shifted, and that your soulmate journey is entering a new chapter shaped by self-respect, clarity, and emotional maturity. And part 6 ends here because this is the alignment stage, the moment where inner transformation synchronizes with outer reality, preparing the next phase where results become undeniable and direction becomes unmistakably clear. Remain focused, because now the 7th phase unfolds into the stage of realization and recalibration, where everything that has been aligning internally and externally begins revealing clear emotional truths. And this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because this phase is not about subtle hints anymore. It is about awareness becoming undeniable, the moment when patterns reveal themselves without disguise. And listen closely, you may notice that situations no longer feel confusing, conversations carry more weight, and silence speaks louder than before, and this clarity is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to empower you, because empowerment comes from understanding what is real instead of holding on to what is imagined. And don't scroll, because this is the phase where many people finally see the difference between potential and reality, between hope and consistency, between emotional fantasy and authentic connection, and your heart needs this right now. Because you are being invited to choose truth over attachment, growth over comfort, alignment over familiarity, and listen to this, during this stage your soulmate may experience a deeper internal reckoning, recognizing what they risk losing, what they avoided confronting, and what they must change if they want to meet you where you stand emotionally. And this realization may appear through increased vulnerability, hesitation, emotional transparency, or even distance as they process their own awakening. And don't scroll, because whatever form it takes, it reflects internal movement, not stagnation, and your heart needs this right now because your role is not to guide their journey, it is to continue honoring your own evolution, staying grounded in your values and emotional boundaries. And listen closely, you may feel a stronger sense of discernment during this phase, the ability to sense what feels aligned and what feels forced, what resonates and what drains you. And this discernment is your inner compass, guiding you toward healthier interactions and away from emotional traps that once felt familiar. And don't scroll, because trusting this inner guidance is essential now. It will protect your peace and preserve your progress. And your heart needs this right now because you are stepping into emotional leadership, the ability to direct your own life instead of reacting to others. And emotional leadership feels calm, steady, and intentional, not chaotic or impulsive, and this steadiness will influence how others approach you, including your soulmate, who may sense that you are no longer easily swayed, no longer emotionally dependent, no longer waiting for validation. And this awareness may inspire respect, curiosity, or self-reflection. And don't scroll, because respect is the foundation of meaningful connection, and your heart needs this right now because without respect, love becomes imbalance, and imbalance creates emotional exhaustion. And listen to this, this phase may also bring moments of internal conflict, where old emotional habits resurface briefly, testing your resolve, tempting you to return to familiar patterns. But these moments are not setbacks, they are opportunities to choose differently, to reinforce your boundaries, to strengthen your self-trust. And don't scroll, because choosing differently is how growth becomes permanent. And your heart needs this right now because permanence creates stability, and stability attracts healthier experiences. And listen closely, you may also notice that your priorities are shifting, valuing peace, authenticity, and emotional safety more than attention, excitement, or validation. And this shift is powerful, because it changes what you seek in relationships, guiding you toward connections that nourish rather than drain, and nourishing connection feels supportive, consistent, and emotionally safe, not unpredictable or exhausting, and this is the type of love your heart has been preparing for beneath all the lessons. And don't scroll, because preparation is nearly complete, and your heart needs this right now because you are approaching a turning point where the universe responds to your growth with clear direction, not through dramatic events, but through alignment, synchronicity, and meaningful timing. And listen to this, you may notice repeated themes appearing around you, conversations echoing similar messages, situations reinforcing the same lessons, and these patterns are confirmations that you are on the right path, that your growth is supported, and that your journey is guided. And don't scroll, because guidance does not remove challenges, it provides clarity during transitions, and clarity allows you to navigate change with confidence instead of fear, and this confidence is not loud. It is quiet assurance, the knowing that you can handle whatever unfolds next, that you trust yourself to choose wisely, and that trust is your greatest strength now. And listen closely, this phase is also about releasing the desire to control outcomes, accepting that not everything needs to be planned, that some things unfold naturally when you remain aligned, and this surrender is not weakness, it is strength, because it allows life to flow instead of forcing direction, and flow feels supportive, gentle, and steady, unlike resistance, which creates tension and exhaustion. And your heart needs this right now because you deserve ease, not emotional struggle. And don't scroll, because ease is becoming your new standard, replacing emotional chaos with calm presence. And listen to this, as you embody this new standard, you may attract opportunities, connections, or experiences that reflect your growth, reinforcing your belief in alignment and divine timing. And these reinforcements will strengthen your confidence, reminding you that healing produces tangible change, not just emotional insight, and tangible change shapes your future. And your future is not limited by past patterns, it is shaped by present choices, and you are choosing differently now, choosing clarity, choosing self-respect, choosing emotional balance. And this choice is powerful, because it creates momentum toward a healthier chapter of your soulmate journey, whether that includes transformation within the existing connection or the arrival of someone new who resonates with your evolved energy. And this stage is also encouraging you to remain open to possibility, not clinging to one outcome, but trusting that what is meant for you will align with your growth. And alignment always feels right, even when it requires letting go of what once felt comfortable. And letting go is not loss, it is redirection towards something better suited to your emotional frequency. And as this phase approaches completion, you may feel a sense of readiness building inside you, the feeling that you are prepared for the next step, whatever it may be, that you are no longer waiting for validation, closure, or permission, but standing firmly in your own authority. And this authority is calm, grounded, and confident, and it will guide you into the next chapter of your journey with clarity, strength, and emotional wisdom. And part 7 ends here because this is the realization stage, the moment when truth becomes clear, alignment stabilizes, and your soulmate story prepares to shift into its next form, shaped by your growth and self-respect. Stay open, because now the 8th phase enters the realm of renewal, where everything you've learned begins shaping a brand new emotional landscape. And this message is for you. Your heart needs this right now, because renewal is the moment when the past stops defining your future and starts becoming the foundation for something stronger, wiser, and more aligned. And listen closely, you may already sense this shift through lighter emotions, deeper breathing, and a quiet excitement about what's Ahead, not anxious anticipation, but grounded curiosity, the feeling that something meaningful is approaching without needing to force it. And don't scroll, because this stage is sacred. It's where your energy begins attracting experiences that reflect your growth instead of your wounds, and your heart needs this right now because you are no longer operating from emotional scarcity, you are stepping into emotional abundance. The awareness that love is not limited, that connection is not rare. That you don't have to cling to one person to feel fulfilled, and listen to this, abundance mindset changes everything. It shifts how you show up in conversations, how you respond to attention, how you choose where to invest your energy, and when you operate from abundance, you no longer settle for inconsistency, mixed signals, or emotional confusion. You naturally gravitate toward clarity, effort, and mutual respect. And don't scroll, because this natural gravitation is your new compass, guiding you toward healthier interactions without force, and your heart needs this right now because your intuition has become sharper, more reliable, more present, helping you sense alignment instead of chasing attraction alone. And listen closely, alignment feels calm, steady, and supportive, while misalignment feels draining, heavy, and uncertain, and your body now recognizes the difference, sending subtle signals when something feels right or wrong, and these signals are your protection. Your guidance system, your inner wisdom speaking clearly. And don't scroll, because trusting this wisdom is essential now. It will prevent you from repeating cycles that once kept you stuck, and your heart needs this right now because repetition of old patterns only delays growth, while conscious choice accelerates evolution. And listen to this, as renewal continues unfolding, you may notice changes in your environment. People entering your life who mirror your emotional maturity, conversations becoming deeper, opportunities appearing that align with your purpose, and these shifts are not random, they are reflections of your internal transformation, because outer reality responds to inner state, and your inner state has changed. And don't scroll, because this is the manifestation stage, where growth becomes visible, not through dramatic events, but through subtle alignment, smooth transitions, and supportive circumstances that seem to arrive at the perfect moment. And your heart needs this right now because manifestation is not magic, it's resonance, the natural outcome of living in alignment with your values and emotional truth. And listen closely, you may also feel inspired to explore new aspects of yourself, creative projects, learning opportunities, social experiences, or spiritual practices that expand your identity beyond past emotional roles. And this expansion is healthy, because it reminds you that you are more than one story, more than one connection, more than one season of your life. And don't scroll, because remembering who you are outside of romance restores balance, and balance creates freedom, and freedom allows you to choose love without attachment, without fear, without pressure. And this kind of love is powerful, because it's rooted in wholeness rather than need. And your heart needs this right now because wholeness attracts wholeness, and healthy people are drawn to healthy energy. And listen to this. During this phase, your soulmate may sense this renewal in you, noticing your lighter presence, your grounded confidence, your emotional independence, and this awareness may spark reflection, admiration, or even longing. But regardless of their response, your growth remains the priority, because your journey is not about proving anything to anyone, it's about honoring your own evolution. And don't scroll, because honoring yourself is the greatest act of self-love. And your heart needs this right now because self-love is the foundation of every meaningful connection you will experience. And listen closely, this phase is also about releasing lingering emotional attachments to outcomes, letting go of the need to know exactly how things will unfold, trusting that alignment will guide the right experiences into your life at the right time, and this trust creates peace, because it removes the pressure to control, and pressure once created anxiety, while trust creates ease. And ease allows life to flow naturally, and flow brings synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, and moments that feel divinely timed. And don't scroll, because these moments will begin appearing more frequently now, subtle confirmations that you are on the right path, that your growth is supported, that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should, and your heart needs this right now because validation from within is stronger than validation from others. And listen to this. As you continue embodying renewal, you may notice that your standards rise effortlessly, not from judgment, but from clarity, recognizing what feels nourishing and what feels draining, what aligns with your values and what doesn't, and this clarity will guide your decisions, helping you invest energy into situations that support your well-being, and well-being is becoming your priority now, replacing emotional chaos with calm purpose. And don't scroll, because calm purpose is powerful. It shapes how you move through the world, how you approach relationships, how you respond to challenges, and how you build your future. And your heart needs this right now because your future is not built on past mistakes, it's built on present awareness. And listen closely, this phase is also about celebrating progress, acknowledging the emotional work you've done, honoring the strength it took to face uncomfortable truths, and recognizing the wisdom gained through experience. And celebration reinforces growth, creating momentum that carries you forward into new chapters. And momentum attracts opportunity, and opportunity opens doors, and doors lead to new experiences that continue shaping your evolution. And don't scroll, because evolution is ongoing, not a destination. And your heart needs this right now because growth does not end with one realization, it continues through daily choices, habits, and actions that reflect your values. And listen to this. As this renewal stage deepens, you may feel a quiet sense of excitement about what's next, not because you know exactly what's coming, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever arrives. And this self-trust is empowering, because it removes fear of the unknown, replacing it with confidence in your ability to adapt, learn, and grow. And adaptability is essential, because life constantly changes, and those who adapt with awareness thrive emotionally, and thriving is what you are stepping into now, leaving survival mode behind. And don't scroll, because this is the turning point, the moment where healing becomes creation, where awareness becomes lifestyle, and where your soulmate journey transforms into a broader story of self-discovery, fulfillment, and aligned connection. And part 8 ends here because this is the renewal stage, the moment where the old chapter closes energetically and the new chapter begins forming, guided by clarity, self-respect, and emotional freedom.